For the serious seeker, pranayama is a doorway into techniques for pratyaharic experiences or removal of the consciousness from the identity of the body. Pranayama is a doorway to a world beyond the stars and paves the avenue through which your consciousness one day can journey consciously into what is called the true nature of that which you are. God. If you will allow your heart to open and let God inside, the God you let inside will commune with the God that is already there, that which you be. These two deities joined together create the one, the whole, which is why I have come back for you.
I am Mafu, and I am an enlightened entity, and I come to you from the Brotherhood of the Light. I am one of 7, and the second in a lineage of these gods, to come forth to this earth plane indeed, to bring to you that which is termed support and encouragement, love. I love each of you entities. You are the God that I am. You are the beloved Father within you, who is within me. And before I take leave of this earth plane, it is my greatest desire indeed that each one of you beauteous entities will garnish that wisdom and view yourselves for the first time in 8.5 million years in a manner that you have not viewed thyself. And look to thyself, entities, for what you truly are, and that is the God I am. And then do with yourselves whatever you please. And if you desire after it is that you have the knowingness of who you be, to grovel around in that which is termed survival on this earth plane, so be it, grovel. But I am desirous first to align you to the knowingness of just who is groveling around. And it is not some animal manifested by the God I am, and that is you. It is not some heinous barbarian, indeed. It is not a lawyer, nor a doctor. It is not a priest, nor an architect. It is a God. If you garnish nothing from who be I, entities, nothing, garnish the only truth there is, that you are the God that I am. You are the beloved Father within you. That is all that you are. All of the rest of that which is judged to be the muck and the mire, the clouds that are above one's soul, that resist that which is termed the penetration of the light you be, all of it is not you. They are experiences you manifested, entities, to bring forth that which is termed the garnishing of wisdom, to embrace whatever it was that would bring you joy, and to relinquish that which did not bring you joy at all. That is all they are. And if you align yourselves to nothing else in the next 7 years that I am upon this earth plane, allow, entities, allow yourselves to align with that glorious knowingness of God I am. And when I speak that to you, say it to yourselves. Do not refer to who be I. Refer to thyself, entity. Refer to thyself. Because that is all that is important. And all of the rest of the games that you've manifested here, the game I shall speak to you on this evening, All the rest of it matters not if you garnish not that wisdom. That which is termed reincarnation you shall do again and again and again upon some other plane, upon some other dimension of understanding, indeed in some other solar system, perhaps some other universe. There are many. But if you are desirous indeed to become beyond the light into the thought, and the worlds beyond the thought indeed, if you are desirous entities, then listen well on that which I speak. Allow the unlimited thoughts that I place forth to you on this evening and many others to come to be received by the brain, lowering the gateway of that which is termed the altered ego, to be transmitted throughout your glorious embodiments. Love thyself, entities, enough to allow all unlimited thoughts to occur, and relinquish the ones that do not bring you joy. But my beloved masters, the one thought that I will give forth unto you on this evening and any other, and the only thought that matters anything at all indeed, is the knowingness that you are the God I am. You are the beloved Father within you. And that is all that is important.
You know this messy business. Well, I'll tell you what occurred. If you can imagine another circle for a moment, just attempt to bring yourselves around, right? A little circle. And in that circle, bring down 6 lines, like you're drawing a sun. You're in first grade. And you've got a little crayon and piece of paper. And you've drawn a circle, but just at the bottom you've drawn 6 lines, right? Consider those 6 families, so to speak, for a poetic, artistic license. And now draw to the right of those lines in your mind. Draw it on your little hand so you can really get a glance. Draw the 7th line, not straight down, paralleling, but coming at an angle through the other 6, right? And what really occurred was something you won't understand. Some of you will answer a few questions. Is that when the Father spoke, I that am, so love what I am, create I am in the journey of the Son. And that which I am in the journey of the Son, I am the Father as well. Now the 6 sort of parallel lines all took that, all right, Son, I'm the Father, now just journey straight. Here I go, I'm the Father, journeying. And in each of these lines, you may consider there are billions upon billions of lords, right? 6 sort of families. And in the 7th line, billions upon billions of entities. And as they begin to come through the energy, because you know that's how the circle went, just like that, right? As they begin to come through the energy, they create, on your planet, you create that. One energy hits another. It's called kinetic behavior. You create a refraction of light. Do you understand? Little Sedona. Clear quartz crystals. There you are. And you put it up the sun and you see little pretty colors. Yes, indeed. That's called a refraction of light. And it becomes a color. All right? So the 7th line started coming through the other 6 lines or houses of Lord gods that were created in the beginning. And that which is called that coming through, and again, it's the same attitude as the other 6 that are paralleling, but they're not sort of in each other's business, you understand? Same attitude. I am the Lord God the Father. That's me. I'm journeying. Everyone else is going straight. It's going this way. I'm journeying. Hits the first line. No, I'm the Lord God. That's me. I know. You understand? Created a big explosion. All right, fine. I'll prove it to you. Continues journeying. Gets a little refracted. This first house goes all to pooey, right? Starts refracting all over the place, these lords. Well, I thought I was the Father. Good heavens, there's another of me. I'm the Father. Started looking around. Who's the Father then? Well, I am. No, I am. And this 7th house continued the journey. Hits the 2nd group. Kapooey again. Everybody's getting really upset. As the line was arcing down, these other groups of lords had sort of more time logged in. That wasn't time, but more expression of the Father without anybody saying, oh, no, that's me, me, right? So now you've got that circle and these 6 lines coming down, the 7th is at an angle, you understand? So these lords have much more time logged as just being nice, plain, simple Father, that's me. And the lords over here have really less time logged, right off the bat. I'm not the Father, what? You understand? All right. That's called aggressive competitive behavior between the gods. And the last family or house of gods were very, very passive entities that really didn't have sort of that, well, all right, you can be the Father then, I don't care. Sort of that type of an attitude. You understand? So you can sort of see how that works. And that's just, you know, an artistic picture, and it really isn't that way, but just so you can understand. Competitive behavior produced an attitude called, I'm going to really prove that I'm the Father, because that's the impulse it was given when the Father created itself, the Son. I'm going to do it. And planets were born, and this was born, and that was born. And that little line that you later called the Jehovah attitude in later times, that little line of gods that sort of, you know, ran across everybody else's nice little heaven, started saying, all right, good. You thought of the idea to create the planets, but watch this, I'm going to take it away. And kaplooey again, planets are gone. And of course, you know, the Lord God that created the planet started thinking, he's got a point. That's pretty scary. And a lot of those lords went into what might be called a little conversation. And you know, everybody was doing their own things at the time, right? And everyone is contemplating, well, what do I do that's really interesting? What can I do to really prove I'm the Father? And now bodies are being contemplated and this and that. And some lord, in a brilliant moment, that was probably the densest experience God has ever known as a lord, spoke, you know what? I've got it. We, who are God, if all it means to be God is to create and destroy, then it is best that God is not at all. And they attempted to destroy each other. And of course, the moment, because God is omnipotent, the moment one sends sort of a pictorial again, light laser ray toward the other one knows, so he steps aside, missed. Do you understand? Pictorial? Artistic license here. Now, as that began to occur, a few other lords thought, you know, the planets can be destroyed. The birds that I make and the body, I've got it. We'll get these gods down into bodies, you see, where they're created form, and we've got them. Then we can destroy. And the moment the good guys thought about destroying the bad guys, so to speak, the good guys became just like the bad guys. And the journey began to perpetuate third-dimensionally. Now you've got planets of lords that were from that 7th house, that sort of, you can be God house, where they don't even understand the concept of murder, you know what? I can't go and lecture to those planets. They're certainly more evolved, they're sort of flying all over the place, poof, there's a garden, poof, there's this, much more evolved third-dimensional entities. But they have no journey of density dense enough, because in order to bring God home, you've got to sort of scrape out the bottom. If you leave anything underneath, sort of like root canal, you ever heard of such a thing? You leave anything there, it's going to haunt you later on. So we come to the planet Earth, where it's gotten, I'd say about as dense as it can get, and where else, of course, but the Americas, onto what is called the absolute density of behavior, by permission, onto what is called the capability of freedom to explore, by permission. And the conclusion becomes to bring God home. And that is how the battle of gods began, to seek out on the planet Earth, if I can't give life, I'm going to take it away. And that is how the gods began to journey as created energy to die. It's really actually Pretty sad story. Yes.
Once they died.
Well, pain in the ass here. We don't die as God. You see, that's an illusion. What happens is that God doesn't stop being God. It just sort of puts out the desire to destroy them. And the Christ creates the thought that is then held densely enough within the soul to produce the aspect in created form called death. You see, God can't die as God, but it can die in created version, sort of the replicant of itself in a denser quality. You can't murder God. God does not die even as man. Man dies in the performance of God. Created energy, not creator energy. The life force, Lawrence here, when he's not falling asleep, Lawrence here doesn't die, goes on forever. The life force, the personality continues to accumulate. Lawrence dies, the flesh becomes the dust. The personality re-enters the soul because now he's on a wheel to do it again. I've got to do it. That Christ gave me the order to. I've got to do it. So he's going to do it before he turns back to the boss and says, oh, I've completed everything. Anything else? That's how that works. Any other questions regarding it? No, took me 17 lifetimes. Took, how many lifetimes did one person here? One lifetime brother. Took one lifetime to the entities called Jesus. Took Buddha, contrary to popular belief, took one lifetime. Took some of you several 100,000. Took a few of you from other planets to come to this planet in lifetimes. Takes God as long as he opts to journey. It depends on which house you come from. Yes.
Are the 7 houses the same as the 7 rays?
Well, all right.
And if they were all squabbling, who decided to come, what group is it decided to come here to help mankind?
Once one obtains one's personal self, in other words, you mean there's more of me? Oh, excellent, then I'll just journey and do my own thing. Personal self, Lord God, once it obtains the evolutionary enlightenment of itself and unlimited ability, it understands that until all of God obtains that, God is not whole, one Father again. Right? Which group? I don't have a band. I came because it serves me to come. Because if you come home, God is notched up energy-wise. Do you understand? And I am served. I am notched up. In other words, notched up, poetry. In that which is called the evolution of man, if many come, there's another challenge. The challenge is that you've got egotistical, man thinks he understands ego. Wait until you come home. God is the most obnoxiously egotistical thing that ever has. The attitude that God is very holy and bows to each other doesn't happen that way. Doesn't happen that way, entities. That which is called God in all power, for example, what I am, what another might be, and another, in all power has absolutely no regard, certainly awesome respect, but no regard, in terms of holiness, because God does what it likes. I journey all things that I have ever known that have brought me joy, that is known vicariously in the whole of God, that brings me joy, except this. When the outcome of this will bring me a lot of joy. The doing of it is really tough. At any rate, God journeys itself. That is literally, it's not the brotherhood of the table level, it's a bit beyond. A group of masters who dialogue what's best for mankind. Now, you've got to understand, God in pompous behavior sort of considers you to be created because you are. You're created by the Lord God, you are. And there's this very obnoxious pompous attitude, look, we did it the hard way. Let them do it the hard way. Let them alone. Let them journey. Because there's a fine line here between intruding on your destiny and becoming your God, do you understand? And assisting you, or sort of exaggerating the experience really fast. Because it really is very self-serving. So there's a very fine line. And one likened unto myself, although I am sovereign, in order to maintain my unlimited enlightened green card, I have to really walk a fine line. Because if I ever step into that realm of manipulating you, then I become the very thing that began this bloody mess in the beginning. Huh? There is a table of elders, so to speak, artistically speaking, a sort of dialogues, the journey of God as man. And in that dialogue, it also journeys the journey of God as God. And the attitude of the concept to hold God is not really a popular concept. God really likes the concept, you know, I'm fine. I've got my planets I'm an overlord over. I've got all power, know everything that's going on. What's the problem? Do you understand? And there's a greater fear. Pay attention. The fear becomes if entities like Jehovah, Lucifer, Satan, if these types of entities are also a part of God, well, if we let them in and hold God, then does that mean we will become this thing? And of course, you remember the line through. The moment that occurred, it was touched and refracted and competitive behavior became. But, you know, try to tell that to my peers. What is occurring now in the heavens, and it really doesn't serve you to know this other than it's kind of a bit of trivia, is a little challenge for the gods. They have no idea what the experience is, neither do I, as one Father. You know, well, who has the biggest personality in it? Is it me? Is it him? What if it's the big J? Do you understand? And the concept of everybody being the same isn't really, it's just about as detestable as two soulmates coming together speaking, all right, whose body do we meld into? Because I'll tell you what, Buster, it's mine. It's sort of the same challenge, just on a higher version, you understand? And in what is called the different houses, you know, different masters have come at different times and through their journey, and you've got to differentiate the difference between a Jesus or a Buddha and myself or Ramtha. I didn't come and journey my Christ and ascend with a large group of following and sort of, you know, no one has a crucifix with a leper. I have although they should have. Big picture of me on Vesuvius. I've come back through a flow of time to produce man's own acceleration. So what they might have attained, let us say, in 12 lifetimes, we're sort of speeding up the pace and addressing all the issues now so they can put into utilization the levels of enlightenment, obtain their Christ, and come on. So I don't really, you know, that to me is right there on the line, and that's fine. That's not really interfering with destiny. It's just sort of shoving it a little. Wouldn't you say? I think it's a magnificent idea. And in that, there is a bit of a difference between the house of one likened unto a Jesus or a Buddha and the house of one likened unto myself. And when you speak of houses, you must understand that I utilize that term very freely. It really wasn't, you know, a house. It was sort of the expression in which it occurred. And so some masters are much more aligned to particular energies than others. Do you understand? You've got a master who would sort of curl up in the corner and be beaten and die as opposed to speak, just a moment, we've got a problem here, I've got the gun. Do you understand? Yet there are some masters who would have the gun and still be beaten and die, and that's sort of the seventh house. That's one of the masters you don't want to be. You also don't want to be up here with that sort of nasty behavior that only you could ever be God. You know, because that's sort of a challenging type of endeavor that everyone will start going, are you Jehovah? And you don't want that on your hands. So, if you're wondering from which house come I come from what is called an alignment just next to being beaten over there in the corner. That's sort of very passive, and I know you think I'm very confrontive and aggressive, and I'm not at all. Be thankful you don't have someone from another house. That's sort of very sweet, gentle, submissive, but still focusing on the desire to live kind of guy. That's me. And Ronza and I are not from the same sort of line. He's not in the corner either. He's also not up there. Yes.
You mentioned your peers.
My peers, yes, I did mention that. Poetically, I did, yes. Go on.
Does God have peers? Is there such a thing?
Poetically, for the purpose of man, God certainly does, because we are all separate, individual, personal selves. Indeed.
But there wouldn't be one God judging another God as to their actions.
Absolutely throwing all kinds of obnoxious judgments around, sort of judgments like, oh, you've got absolutely no idea about what you're talking about. I say it all the time. You have no idea how humble man is and how much he wants to come home. And I'm told all the time, you have no idea how much man doesn't want to come home. It's a battle. You know, what is judgment? And in judgment, as you begin to ascend yourself to enlightenment, you'll understand there's no such thing at all. The dichotomy becomes in utilizing your limited understanding of the conceptual behavior of God as man. And I must utilize poetic, very irrational terms so that you can put it somewhere to compute it. Do you understand? Do I have peers
That you converse with, that you would...
that I converse with? Right now, you. Here I am, human body, just like you.
Before you said that you, that there are certain things that you and you can't, or any God could not, or would not do for maybe certain reasons.
Any God, not any God. There is always a God who will do anything, yes. There are certainly gods that will tell you to follow them and you will attain.
Other rules that you follow.
Rules
That you would not break.
that I wouldn't break.
One.
Unto all things, I will never, never create your destiny for you through me. For then I do not serve my Father. For if you come home through me, you are only home with me. You are not at my level. I am not served. I am only served if you go beyond me, Master, and I have something to look up to. Where I am, there really are slumbering gods, unto whom one might come upon and speak, wake up. For that which you are God. And it gets into an entire realm of competitive behavior that produced for God a desire to become man at all in the first place. And then, you know, like and unto myself, I became man in my first lifetime because I just had to copulate. I just had to have this woman that I had brought onto a planet. And then, you know, I got involved in an entire journey. It was a long story. Pretty soon the sun and the moon forgot I was God. And unto what is called the forgetting of those silly bastards, I fell into suit and forgot as well. And unto the forgetting of unlimited power began to behave like man, and lost what I was as God in the journey of man. Do you understand? Man, third dimension, is a time journey. It is already done from where come I. But in the journey you are, it is not yet. You won't understand it.
Well, I understand it from where I am.
Good.
Third dimension
Excellent.
aspect of it. And I can imagine that, looking at it from another perspective as already having happened.
Well, you see, but from my perspective, I have dinner parties, yes. And at these dinner parties, you know, I invite the lot of you. And because you're not aware that you are unlimited God, because you're sort of focused on your man, you've got your head in the tomato soup, snoring away. And it doesn't look good when I have other friends over that have realized their power. You see? That's sort of an artistic understanding. So you really are where I am. It's just sort of catching you up to that, that's all.
But sooner or later, even though I have my head in the tomato soup, sooner or later I'm going to be where you are,
Aha! Correct.
right?
Yes, absolutely, because you already are. And you know, the truth is, I don't have to come here at all. You will in lifetimes. Call me a selfish bastard. And that's just sort of the God I am that's decided to come unto what I am in you. Because you see, there's another concept that you also aren't employing here, and it's that once one obtains unlimited power, one becomes sort of everything, and vicariously or not. And so what I am in you is still very dense. And I just want all of me to be very pretty. Do you understand? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
Good. All right. Let's sleep on it. Yes.
I'm curious about if there is
Pay attention, entities.
a difference. Now, first, when we were enlightened to the opportunity that we could ascend our body,
Aha.
and ascension, as I understood it, was that I would take my body with me.
Correct.
And then there's this process called transmutation.
Well, you know what's taking your body with you? You don't really sort of take a lump, you know, and fly it around the heavens. See my body? It's more in the brain of it, in the thought of it. Do you understand? Because as it transmutes itself, or transcends itself back up the vibrational scale, it becomes the intelligence or the ability to do it again.
Okay, now on one of your tapes that I was listening to, and you were talking about bringing the feeling of water, and then the water would come from your hand, and that you were ascended and you were still eating and drinking and doing all that. But was this in a physical body? And is there a difference between transmutation, which is the physical body on Earth transmuting the whole planet into some higher vibrational frequency?
Is that what you think?
Well, I'm asking you what the difference is between transmutation and ascension.
Consider that transmutation of energy is the abstracting of its pure thought. Ascension is taking the abstraction and putting it back where it belongs. There you are. Excellent. Simplistic understanding.
Want to clarify that?
All right. A Christ, by the time one attains full enlightenment, or it's Christ man or Christ woman, does not need to eat, does not need to breathe, does not need the heart to beat. All right? It is a done thing, for example, by your Jesus, to occur within a disciple. You see, we are alike. We are alike. We are alike. We are alike. I'm going, come on. Do you understand? That's why it's done. Or perhaps a guru who dyes his body. You see, we are alike. We are alike. We are alike. And I was that brilliant. And you watch me float on air. And you watch me ascend and come back and ascend and come back. But behold, my body dies. Do you understand? And then the body, you know, is put into state or entuned, and then it is taken. Do you understand? God has the ability to create all illusion. The wisest masters create the illusion for man, but there is no God but man, self. Or else they become that God. Do you understand? The transmuting of energy from the human body outward to a glass of water is really what is called the magnetic pulling of that which is called the condensation, or that which is called heat, that is produced from the human body by an emanating higher vibrational quality of enlightened self, or the utilization of cohabiting experience, magnetically drawing what is desired without journey. Do you understand? A Christ doesn't have to walk to get there. He just is there when he wants to be. That's the difference. A Christ doesn't, you know, get a hammer and nails and lumber and build a house. There is a house. It is a power. It is an unlimited power acquired and utilized through cohabiting behavior of third dimension, which is, I want a house. And Christ, pure thought. So be it the house. Do you understand?
But we're still here, as I understand it,
Mm-hmm.
to bring this planet.
No. You are here to bring your rump home.
Okay. And
You are the Christ. I want you to contemplate what Jesus, what Buddha, what every other man, woman, whoever walked your planet did. I'm in it for me. You want to come along, come along. I'll teach you everything I know. You know, gather your disciples, have a good time. You march, every last one of you, straight and narrow, focus on your Christ. The planet will catch up with you. You leave the planet to the big guys, right? And you concern yourself with you, because if enough of you concern yourself with Christine you, then the planet is taken care of. Do you understand? Aha!
When we chanted and then we prayed and then we chanted again, because chanting generates the energy. So whatever does it for you, you get the energy, you demand the command, and then you cement it with the energy, and it shall unfold before you. That is how you manifest.
When man was taken outside of the elemental of time, or in the thought of it, it can never die. And therefore God, taking to his man of what is termed the thought, provoked by the emotion, is not taken to die. Well, all wisdom is right for a particular level of evolutionary power, you see. And unto what is called the aspect of understanding entity, that God the Father in the body man, in the body woman can die, it's not a pretty picture. And it's not something that mankind will align and understand the purpose behind it easily. And of that entity, it is not even important. What is important now is that you do die, and to get out of that mess.